Okay, we are ready to start. First of all, I would like to remind you that we have a chat. So, for example, can you all see my screen and hear my audio correctly? Feel free to write down in the chat if you can all see. We're just waiting a couple more minutes before we get started. Okay, I just received a yes in the question, so that's perfect. And again, during the webinar, feel free to ask any questions, and we're gonna stop every now and then to answer your questions. And then there's gonna be a 20-minute questions and answers session, so that you can ask all of your questions, and we do our best to answer all of them. And then we will send kind of an email recap with all the questions and all the answers. All right, so I am going to start now with just a very brief introduction about Foodics, in case there's someone that doesn't know us very well. So Foodics is an all-in-one restaurant management system. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's an iPad-based cloud solution. We help to optimize transactions, sales, inventory, employee management, logistics, delivery, and a lot more. And we are a proudly Middle Eastern company. Just to name some of our customers: Lamborghini, Burgerizers, Wayback Burgers, etc., etc., etc. Quite a few companies, quite a few restaurants decided to use our tools, and we're proud of that. About our company, we have about 7,000 terminals deployed. We have processed 1 billion orders. We now have 3 offices, over 60 employees, and more than 700 customers. Just, a bit of our history. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but what makes us unique. We're obviously cloud-based, but you can also use our tools online. You can manage tables, inventory. You have a kitchen display. You have really smart analytics that give you data about your sales and which product is selling more, which branch is performing better, all these kind of things. You can manage the relationship with your customers. You can manage delivery. It's obviously fully available in Arabic. We can also provide you with mobile apps for delivery. It's very easy to set up. We have 24/7 support through many channels like chat, email, phone, Telegram, and any way we can be in touch with you. You can have a single food truck or a franchise. We can still help you and make your business grow. And you can keep track of your earnings in real time using the dashboard. A few more things. Obviously, you have different components of Foodics. You have the dashboard, the cashier, the waiter app, the notifier, the kitchen display, and a lot more, many more modules that you can add. You obviously have very good reporting systems. As I said before, this is suitable for food trucks, restaurants, franchises, coffee shops. It doesn't matter. We are here to help you. Also, we wanted to announce we are officially authorized by VAT in Saudi Arabia, and we've been featured in many prestigious magazines. And also, we partner with many really nice tools like OrderLord, HungerStation, Jahez, Xero, Microsoft Dynamics, JDA, etc., etc., etc. Okay, now I am going to leave the word to my colleague Omar, who is going to talk to you about the inventory. So I'm just gonna switch presentation rights to him. Omar, can you hear us?
Hello, Dario.
Hi, Omar. All right, so I'm gonna leave the floor to you. Today, as I mentioned, we're going to discuss the inventory of Foodics. And again, if you have any questions, please interrupt us using the chat, and then we will answer your questions as soon as we can. Enjoy the webinar, and see you at the end.
Thank you, Dario, and welcome everybody to our second webinar. This time we'll discuss the inventory and how to add your items, how to add your suppliers, how to perform transactions, stock taking, and purchase orders, and everything related to your inventory. So to access your inventory, this is the normal dashboard. You go to your inventory tab, and you'll find your items, your tags, your suppliers, warehouses, transactions, stock taking, and purchase orders. First, we start with the items. The items is for everything that is in your inventory, like everything that goes into your products, like your salt, like your water, your ketchup, everything that goes into your menu into producing your menu. This is not the items you're selling. These are the items that make your products. So for the items, you'll find the list of all of your items here with an SKU and the name, if you have a barcode or tags and so on. So to add a new item, you go to add new, and then you will have to fill the details for this item. There are three main parts to the item, but we'll go through them. For example, if you want to add water, we'll say the name is water and the name in Arabic. Yeah. And the SKU is the stock keeping unit. It's just a serial number for your item if you want to add it or not. The barcode, if you want to use the barcode scanner to register your item. And then we have a storage unit, an ingredient unit, and the storage to ingredient factor. This is the really important part when you add your items, because this will be calculated against your consumption and your inventory levels, and your reports will have to be accurate depending on this unit. So the storage unit for water, for example, if you buy it in boxes and you use it in pieces, right? So the storage unit should be box, and the ingredient unit will be a piece because you sell it by piece, right? But the storage to ingredient factor, this is how many ingredient units are in one storage unit. So for a small box of water has about 24 pieces. Some other boxes have 40 or so on. So this is the ingredient factor. So when you sell one item, one piece of water, and you had only one box, so the system will know automatically that you now have 23 items because you only sold one. Yes. You can also add a supplier. If you buy it from a certain supplier, you can add it here. And you can also set the minimum level per branch and the minimum level per warehouse. This is the minimum level per storage unit. So if you put 3 here, you set the minimum level as 3 boxes per branch. And for example, in the warehouse, you can set 6. Now, whenever the level of water is below this amount, the system will automatically send an email to your respected users, telling them that to top up your inventory or buy more or get more, etc., etc. You can also add tags to your item. We'll see how to add the suppliers and the tags in the next step here, tags and suppliers. And you can also set, the tags is just like for grouping items, and like for filtering later, for stock taking and so on. So just for easy access. For example, if you have shelves in your inventory, this is for meat and this is for fruit and this is for soft drinks and so on and so on. You categorize them depending on whatever category you like. And this is a tag. For example, water goes in the beverages tag. And you can also add a fixed cost or leave it without. A fixed cost for the item is when you set a fixed cost for the item, this will be calculated as the storage unit cost. So whenever you add 2 boxes to your inventory, the fixed cost, for example, one real per box. When you add 2 boxes, the cost is 2 reals. You just, regardless of how much you bought it. So it does not calculate the cost from the invoice or the purchase order and so on. So usually we like to keep it as not fixed cost, and then if you do not set it as a fixed cost, it will automatically calculate it from your purchase orders in the transactions, as we'll see later. This is the item basic data, and we'll see now we have to add ingredients. if it has ingredients, we see the next step, how to add ingredients. And we have the branch settings. Branch settings, if you want to add, this is the minimum level per branch is for a general data. So, but when you add a branch setting as, for example, Riyadh branch, it does not want, you do not want to have it as 3 for Riyadh. So when you select Riyadh specifically, you add 5. This will override the 3 in the basic data. So now whenever it reaches 3 in your Riyadh branch, whenever it reaches 5 in your Riyadh branch, it will automatically send an email notification. It does not wait until it is 3. So you can have custom settings for each branch here in the branch settings. The demo. That we want to add. For example, if we want to add a new item, this is the water demo we just added. You can edit the item here, the item data or minimum the data or branch settings or ingredients and so on. And you can delete the item just like that. And the inventory is for the items you purchase, like water and salt and tomato and so on, and also for the items you make in your kitchen. For example, if you make a mix of the burger patty, for example, you need a slice of burger and you need salt and lemon, and you need to mix them up together to create your patty for your sandwiches or so on. So when you add all the items, for example, the salt and water and the burger slices and so on, you now have to add the item you will be making, for example, the burger patty, as a separate item. So when you add the burger patty here, and you put the name in Arabic, and the SKU, the product code number, and the storage unit. For example, you make it in kilograms. Ingredient unit is slices. And for example, the storage to ingredient unit is how many slices in 1 kilogram. For example, this 12 slices in 1 kilogram. And then we have to go to the ingredients. The ingredients here will add a burger slice or a burger in grams. And we'll have to add, for example, 900 grams of burger. This is the raw meat. So the raw meat goes in the patty. And for example, we have to add salt in grams. The 1 kilogram of patty has about 220 grams of salt. And we have to add, for example, another thing. What else goes in the patty? We have lemon. For example, 3 pieces of lemon. And that's it. So now we have added the burger patty as a separate item to the inventory with the ingredients of burgers and salt and lemon. So now whenever we make a burger patty, it will automatically calculate that we have used 900 the ingredients. For example, 900 grams of burger and 3 pieces of lemon and 20 grams of salt. This will be automatically calculated. So basically, this is the items. You add all your items that you purchase and all the items that you will be making in the inventory. Next, we have to see the tags. The tags item, the tags tab is for grouping inventory items. For example, this is the items. We add a new tag. We just have to add the Arabic name. And for example, this is the cold drinks. This is all the items in the refrigerator, for example. You save the tag. This is not for the menu, so you have to be careful. This is not for the menu. Not everything here will be, this is not the items you will be selling. This is for the inventory categorization. For example, in your shelves, in your repository or whatever, how do you sort it? So this is the tag. You can filter the tags by name or, let's see, cold. You can filter them by name or reset the item and search for them. You can edit the item, the tag in the name, English or Arabic, or you can delete the tag like this. So this is the inventory tags. The inventory suppliers, we have to go inventory suppliers. This is for all the people you deal with. Whenever you buy something, you have to add where you bought it from, the supplier who provided you this item you bought. For example, you'll see a list of all your suppliers here. The names, the codes. If you can set a code for the supplier, you have a contact name for the supplier company, and his email, and so on and so on. So whenever you add a new supplier, you just set their name. This is our friendly, so this is our water company. And for example, we have to get a code and the contact name. Mr. Muhammad is our contact name in this company. Muhammad, email, and his phone number. We just add it here. Save the supplier. This is the water company. It is added here. So whenever we buy something from the water company, we'll just set it as our supplier. You can filter the suppliers by name or code and phone and so on. This is the suppliers page. We will see now, we'll see how to use the suppliers more efficiently in the transactions. But first, we have to see the warehouses. This is the warehouses for your business. So if you have a separate warehouse that you use to store items outside your branch, for example, a central warehouse or and so on, you'll see it here, and you can edit the warehouse's name and city. For example, this warehouse is in Riyadh, and save it, and so on. You can add the name in Arabic and English. And whenever you make a transaction as a transfer between a warehouse or a branch and so on, you'll have to add it. You can use the warehouses as a transfer, as an internal transfer repository. Now we go to the transactions. This is all the transactions that happen in your inventory, like when you purchase something, when you transfer something between branches, when you produce something in your kitchen, and so on. You'll see all the inventory transactions here with the reference number and the branch and the type of the transaction and the status of the transaction, and whether it is declined or not, and the business date that the transaction occurred in. You can also view the transaction here. Click the I button, and you'll see more details. For example, the supplier for this. For example, we bought one tomato. We bought 30 kilograms of tomato from the supplier, Maaz Enterprises. We bought it on this date and this reference number, the type of the transaction, the user who bought this item. We'll see how to add transactions and how many transactions we have. We can go to add new. We have 8 types of transactions in this inventory. We have purchasing, we have production, transfer, other in, other out, expiry, damage, and waste. Purchasing is when you bought something and you put it in the inventory and you want to register it for the system to know you have bought this item and it is added to your inventory. Production is when you make something from your inventory ingredients, items, and you make something else which will be used in your products. Transfer is for when you transfer something from a branch to another branch or from a branch to a warehouse and so on. Others in and other out is for the transactions that you do not want to appear in your financial costs registries. For example, the gifts and the samples and the items that you give away and so on, but you did not sell, but they are out of your inventory. See, we'll see how inventory, I guess. Expires for items that have expired, and the damage, items that were damaged. For example, you spilled the milk by accident, so on. Waste is for example, you made something in your. So now we see, we have the transactions. For example, the purchasing. We want to purchase, we purchase something to our Riyadh branch from a supplier called Malhama Factory. We have to add the invoice number if we have an invoice number. And if we have an invoice date, for example, you bought it yesterday, yesterday, any tax, and you add, for example, the tax to you can add also notes, free damage. Now we have first example, tomato. We bought 40 kilograms, cost us 40 riyals. How much? And have an expiration date. You can set for 4 days. Add new. Now we have bought, we have added 40 kilograms of tomato. We can also and then save it. Transactions page.
Hello, everyone. I think Omar is having some slight connection issues. We will resume in just a moment.
So now we have added.
Omar, we lost you for a few seconds. I think you lost connections for a bit. So yeah, let's just resume from.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now it's fine.
Yeah. So these are all the transactions. We just added the purchasing transaction here. You can see the details. We have bought 40 kilograms of tomato and 3 packs of salt. You can print this transaction for your records, and you can copy it to create another similar one, for example, tomorrow and the day after, and so on. This is the transaction, the first one, the purchasing transaction. You see the type here, purchasing in and done. For example, if you want to add a production transaction, we'll set the branch which we produce the items, and then we set the items that we have produced here. For example, the basic data is for the branch, the items is for the items you're producing. Now we select, this is all the items that have ingredients. For example, the patty, burger patty. For example, now we have to make, in the morning, I have to make about 4 kilograms of patty that expires in 2 days. You add it, add new. Now you have to, for example, have to save it. And then it will show up here as 2 transactions. Production transaction is important. Production out is all the items that were used to produce the burger patty or the item you have produced. So when you look at the transaction, you will see we have lost 1 kilograms of lemon and have the 20 grams of salt and the 900 grams or whatever the value of the burger we used in the patty. For example, and all the items, if we have set the cost of them correctly, this is just the demo data. So if you have the cost correctly set up, you will see the cost here. And if it has an expiration date, you'll just see it here. You'll see the type of the transaction, production, and you have the business date and the reference number and so on. And you can print the transaction. This is the inventory transaction for the production. So when you see the production end, this is the opposite. We have used patty, we have used the burger and salt and lemon to produce a burger patty of 4 kilograms with a cost of 0.3, for example, depending on the value of the items you used. You can also print it and copy it and so on. This is the second transaction, the production. You see production. In purchasing, you just have 1. Production, you get 2 transactions. And for the transfer, this is when you transfer something from a branch to another branch. You will see the first branch from Khobar to Riyadh. You set the date, and if you have notes and so on, you select also add the items that you have transferred or you want to transfer. For example, you want to transfer 3 kilograms of fish that will expire in 3 days. Now we have, and you can also, for example, upload the items list via an Excel sheet and so or something. If you have a long list of items that you do not want to add piece by or step 1 by 1, you can download the template for the items and then you fill it up in Excel and then you upload it here for the system to automatically add the items in your transaction, whatever it is, production or purchase or transfer and so on. So now we have transferred 30 kilograms of fish. We save it. This will show up as 2 transactions also, transfer out and transfer in. So transfer out from Khobar and transfer in from to Riyadh branch. And this is pending because it is not yet confirmed that you have received this transaction yet. So the web user or the manager of this branch will have to go to the transactions page and then view this transaction. And then he has to confirm that we have received this item, 30 kilograms of fish. But for example, you can edit it. You say, we did not receive 30, we received only 25. And then you can save it. Save the transaction. And then it is set, status is set to is changed to done, and the transfer out is done. This is the transfer transaction. Saving up. Now we have the other in and other out transactions. These are very similar. So you just select the branch and the items you want to add. The great thing about our system is everything, once you get the hang of one transaction, you will see how easy it is to add everything else. So this is the items you want to add. For example, we gave away about 5 eggs, just the waste. Just the other in, for example, is the gifts and the samples and so on, or whatever. Just save it, and then it will show up as your other in transaction. This is similar for the other out, everything that goes out of your inventory that you are giving away for free or something, samples and so on. For example, you can have the expiry transaction. just set the branch also, and then you add the items, the fish, and then the items, the fish. You have wasted about 2 kilograms. What is this? Expired. We have 2 kilograms of expired fish. You just save it, and you add, and it will show up here. Expiry out. Expiry is always coming out of your inventory. No expiry goes in. And this is also similar for the damage and waste operations. We have also the stock taking and the purchase order. So the stock taking, what is stock taking? Stock taking is when you want to see how much you have left in your inventory. So, and you go to your inventory physically and you count how much fish you have, how much water is left, how many eggs, and so on and so on. So you go to your inventory, and then you'll see all the transactions of the stock taking here. The business day, for example, if you want to have daily stock taking, you'll see that, for example, yesterday we had one, 18 November, for example, 19 we didn't have one, and so on. We had the 19, here it is, and so on. So for example, if you had to went daily or weekly, or depending on whatever business type you're running. So to add a new stock taking, you just select add new, and then you select the branch of the where you're taking a stock taking, we're doing stock taking, and then you add the items that you want to calculate. For example, today I was looking at the eggs and I found I had 40 pieces. And I was looking at the water and I found we have 40 liters. And I was looking at, I counted the, let's see, salt, and I calculate the salt, and now we have 4 packs, and so on and so on. All the items that goes in your stock taking will show up here, and now you can save the transaction. You see the stock taking here is completed successfully, the branch, the reference number, and the business date, and the user. But so now we have an important detail about the stock taking. You go to the view transaction, and then you will see the details of the stock taking. We have a few numbers here we want to discuss. The entered quantity and the original quantity, the variance quantity, and the variance cost. So the entered quantity is how much I just physically calculated and I input into the system as existing in my inventory. So we just put 40 pieces of eggs and 40 liters of water and 4 packs of salt. But the original quantity is how much the system assumed you had before your stock taking. So everything from your previous stock taking, and then minus your consumption and your transfers and your production, and everything you have used from your inventory will be calculated automatically, and the system will assume you have a quantity. This is the original quantity. If the entered quantity is different from the original quantity, then you will have a variance quantity. The variance quantity is how much difference between the original quantity and the entered quantity. The variance is 42. For example, here for this, for example, here in this, for example, the water has 40 liters as entered quantity, and the original quantity is 50. So the system has assumed that you had 50 liters of water, but when you counted it, you saw only 40 liters. So you have a loss of about minus 10 liters. So this is, you have to go now see how you got this error. You have to go and see, for example, if you've made any calculation errors, if you used something that you did not input in the system, if you did not, and so on, if something was lost, stolen, or something, and so on. The cost will be calculated from for how much you bought this water for. This is just for the demo purposes. We do not have any cost. If you have put the cost correctly, you will show up here as the cost for the 10 liters loss. This is the important part about the stock taking. It's very simple. It automatically calculates everything for you and makes your life easier. This is the stock taking. Now we have to go see the last item is our purchase orders. The purchase orders have been recently updated to show more simpler steps, and so for your inventory. See, we have the purchase order. We have many details about it, from, to, the status, and the employee, and the business date. The internal transfers also show up here. If you have, for example, something transferred from when you request something from your other branches or other warehouse and so on, you have to make a purchase order. For example, add new. We go to your branch. For example, we want to purchase something to Riyadh branch, and the supplier is the company we're buying from or the other branch we're transferring from, or the warehouse we're transferring from. So we'll see a list of suppliers, and we see at the bottom we see the warehouses. So we'll just buy something from a water company, and with the items, for example, we just buy water, obviously, and you say 40 liters, they add new. This is the purchase order. Now, whenever you make a purchase order, it will just show up as pending. This is now for the branch manager or the web user to come and see the purchase order and approve it or decline it. Now we go to the view transaction. The user will see this, and then he will see the items in the transaction. For example, 40 liters of water, and then he can approve it or decline it. If he approves it, you just get a confirmation, and then this is approved. Now, whenever it is approved, we can now create this purchase. For example, this will automatically takes us to the transaction of the purchase of the new transaction, a purchasing transaction. This will be, as you have now bought the item and you just put the invoice number and the invoice date, you bought it yesterday or today, if you paid any tax and so on. And then if you want to edit it, for example, we did not buy 40 liters of water, we bought 35 and it cost us 35, not 0. You save it and you save the transaction, and now you have added one new purchasing transaction to your inventory. This is purchasing in, see? The status is done, it is not declined, and the business date is today. So this is the transactions. And when you go to the purchase orders, it is already done, this one. So now if you, for example, if you want to make a purchase order from another branch, it is called internal transfers from another warehouse. For example, to Riyadh branch from our demo warehouse. And then you select the items you want to transfer. And then you select fish, for example, you want to transfer 30 kilograms of fish, and all the other items, you're transferring. And for example, not the fish, we have the tea, for example, 20 liters, and so on. You save it. And then you will see this transaction as pending. When you go to the transaction, you will see an approve or decline. So for example, if you approve it, you get a confirmation. And then we go to the transaction again. You will see it is a create transfer, not a create purchase. Create transfer is for internal transfers, where you select the supplier as your warehouse or your other your warehouse or inventory and so on. You will see it create transfer. if you select the supplier as a company, you will see a create purchase, and you have to put the invoice number, invoice date, and so on. So if you create this transfer, you confirm the items. For example, we did not receive 20 liters of tea, we just got 15. You save them, and you save. Now you have made a transfer out of the from the demo warehouse and to your Riyadh branch. These are the purchase orders. For example, now we have, if you have a list of to recap, you add your items, everything you buy, and everything you make in your kitchen from ingredients that you buy. This all goes in the inventory items, your salt, your water, your sauce, and everything. You sort them, and you can sort them by tags, you can group them by tags, and to categorize them later for reports and so on. You can add suppliers, everyone you buy from, and their contact information and so on. You have to add warehouses if you have other multiple locations and so on. And the transactions, we have many transactions. You have the purchasing, production, everything you buy goes in the purchasing transaction. Everything you produce from your ingredients goes in the production transaction, and transfer between branches, and your other in and other out transactions, and your expiry and damage and waste transactions. These are all the transactions, and we have the stock taking. This is useful for when you want to make sure you have your system calculations correctly, to see how much you have left, and to compare your reports with your consumption, with your selling, and so on. This is the stock taking. And the last thing we had to discuss was the purchase orders. When you want to make a purchase order from a supplier or from an internal warehouse in your business, you go to purchase orders, and then the designated user will have to confirm it or decline it or edit it depending on the nature of the transaction. That's it. And if you have any questions, we're ready to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Omar. Thank you very much, Omar. I sent you some of the questions in your chat box, and you can also click on questions and see them so we can start answering them. Omar, can you hear me?
Dario. So I see the questions. How we see the first question is, can you repeat what you said about the minimum number of stock in branches and one specific branch, please? Okay, so the items, we go to the items, for example, this one, we edit it. The minimum level per branch, this is a general level. So 50 for every branch you have, it should be the minimum level is 50. Whenever it goes below 50, you'll get an email notification to top up your branch and so on. And the branch settings, this is for specific branch. For example, you do not want your main branch, for example, in Riyadh, to go below 60. You do not want it to go as 50 as every other branch. So we have to specify, for example, a special notification for our Riyadh branch. If it goes below 60, just send us a notification right away. Do not wait until it is 50. This is our items. This is the difference between the branch settings and the basic data in the items. And the second question, how to put warehouses stock in Foodics. To add a warehouse, you have to contact us. Yeah, we'll see how to add a warehouse in this. You have to go to the sales, your sales representative. He'll tell you the difference how to add a warehouse. It's a special license. You have to, that goes with your inventory that will show up here as your warehouses. And the second question, we can put kilograms per tram, Isawi 1,000. The inventory items, the storage to ingredient factor. I think your question is It's not clear. So the storage, for example, if we have a storage unit as kilogram and the ingredient unit is dram, the storage to ingredient factor has to be 1,000, because whenever you use, for example, 200 grams, you will know that you have about 80% left of the kilogram, and the system will automatically show your inventory levels and consumption and cost depending on this ingredient factor. So you have to put it very carefully. And for example, if you use teaspoons, there are many measures. For example, 1 liter. And for example, if you use it in teaspoons, you go to your chef and see how many teaspoons are in 1 liter. I think it's about 700 or so on. The other question, I think, let's see, how to set the cost of each item. The cost of each item, you can set it as a fixed cost if you like, here as a fixed cost. This item, this 30 is for the storage unit. So 30 kilograms for 30 reals for kilogram. This is a fixed cost. If you do not want to set a fixed cost, you go, whenever you buy the item, you set how much you bought and how much you bought it for, and the system automatically calculates the cost of the item depending on the invoice. I hope this is clear. So whenever, for example, you buy, for example, if you bought something today for a price and you bought it next week for a different price, the system will calculate the average of the prices and set it the cost as the cost of the item. This is the cost of the items. And we have another question. If the difference in transfer at the time of received, so how can send get the notification whatever he sent, it's not received by receiver? If the difference, I do not understand the question, but if the difference in transfer, if you mean we'll see this one. Please show us reports related to inventory. So, for example, we'll have another inventory, another webinar about the reports. We can go all the reports about the sales and the advanced reports and the category sales reports, inventory reports, and so on. And how to match present day stock with Foodics stock if difference, so we can use it in our option of stock taking. So you just have a new stock taking. I think your question means if you have items in your stock that are in the inventory, but they are mismatched from they don't match the Foodics inventory. So you just go to your inventory and do stock taking with the real amount that you have today. So for example, if Foodics says you have 50 kilograms of something and you go to your inventory and see you have about 60 kilograms, you just go to your inventory, your stock taking, and then you select the items, and then you do the new quantity you want the system to base the calculations on. So you just do a new stock taking, and the system automatically replace the quantity with the entered quantity with the original quantity in the system, in your inventory. We have a question. Do we have storage level or status in the main dashboard? For now, the main dashboard has the sales levels. So, and for example, the income and the number of orders, and so the number of guests and returns and discounts, the top selling branches and order types, and sales per hour. We do not have the inventory in the main dashboard page yet, but we'll keep updating the system to match our customers' needs, and everything will be up to date very soon. For now, you can access the reports and see all the reports you need for every period of the time. Another question we have, we can get the item value also with closing stock. If yes, how? When you do a stock taking, the items variance cost, the items cost, we have to go to the reports and get the items cost and see how much everything in your inventory costs. It will be automatically calculated from your purchase invoices and your transactions and your consumption and everything. But in your closing, when you're doing a stock taking, if there is a difference, it will show you the difference cost. For example, this item has a variance cost of 0. This is, for example, this is a variance quantity, variance and original quantity, and so on. The entered quantity is how much you put in your stock right now. The original quantity is how much the system assumed you had before you did a stock taking. This is the variance between them and how much it cost you and how much this variance cost you. We have another question. Alert configuration upon purchase transaction or stock transfer transaction. This is a feature request. I think alert configuration, you want to get an alert when you make a purchase transaction or a stock transfer transaction. So now we have alerts for whenever the system is low, inventory is low on one item or so on. We have notifications for weekly reports. We can add, we'll see how to add, we'll definitely add this to our suggestions box and see how if you can add a notification whenever you make a purchase or you make a stock taking. But for now, you can just have certain authorities to people, admins and web users who can make a stock taking or manage the inventory and so on to have a little more control on your stock taking or purchase orders flow in your inventory. Any more questions? Let's see. So I guess that's about it. If you have any, if you did not answer any question, we'll make sure to reply everyone in an email. If we missed a question, we apologize for this. But we'll also publish all the questions and answers in an email later to all the participants, just for the knowledge to be spread around. And I guess that's about it. Thanks everyone for joining. And Dario now will have to take the mic.
Yep. Thank you very much, Omar, for your presentation and for answering the questions. As he mentioned, we are going to send an email with the answers to every questions that were asked today. And we will also send a recording of this session. So if any of your colleagues or restaurant owner friends missed this webinar, we will provide you with a recording. I would like to thank you again for attending. I am going to leave this page open for a few more minutes, just in case you need to send some more questions. And we will see you next time.